Times. All right, good morning, guys. I'm going to get right to it. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind today. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I know it's still snow talk. I'm going to try to hold on to that as long as I can. Does the audio sound weird to you all? Does the music sound fine? Type 1 if it sounds all right. It sounds like Max Headroom kind of style music in my ear right now. So sorry if it's glitching or anything like that. All right, so let's get into... actually, I can't even get the music off. That's a problem, right? All right, let's get right into the snowboard, which, as you guys probably know, is not going to really be that impressive, as you might imagine on that. In fact, the snowboard itself is coming in mainly quiet. Don't have any items to list here. Okay, I know it's a bummer. Christmas is coming up, and we don't have anything on the snowboard. Does that mean winter is over? Well, it depends on which post you see on social media. There's a lot of attack against it right now, right? That winter is done, blowtorch. And while there's no doubt, yes, it is a warmer pattern that is established in the area, there is winter in the Northern Hemisphere that is quite brutal right now, but we just don't know yet exactly the path it will take as far as where that cold will get displaced down the road. Way too early to assume that it's not going to arrive here. I've seen this flip many, many times, and you see the whirlwind that happens, especially on social media, of one way, and then suddenly there's a reversal on it. So it's just easier just to kind of just go with the idea of how things are looking in the next couple of weeks, and we'll watch it, but be fully aware that the players are on the field. But around here, we're going to be battling one of the stronger Pacific jets we've had in a while, hitting the lower 48, and that is going to be working against us many, many times. But how long can it actually maintain to that level of intensity? That's something we're going to be taking a closer look at here in just a second. My concern is, and this is what I kind of alluded to in the post, is that I got a feeling we're going to end up with more thunderstorms before we even get to anything on the wintry side. And that's something that I'm sure Tennessee especially does not want to hear about. More on that in a second. This morning, again, very cold into the valley areas. Here in Louisville, we dropped to about 32, 33 this morning. So it was cold, and the clouds were not exactly as thick as we were hoping they would be. So you did have a little bit of frost this morning on your windshield as you ventured out. Temperatures today, still close to 50. Cloud cover will act as more of a hazy sunshine scenario, but I think we're going to get enough of that haze and solar heating, if you will, to try to get us to about 50 here in Louisville. Looking at a wider scope, and I don't know why it looks so short today. I need a box, all right? No, that's too much. Okay. Looking at the wider scope, this is our system we'll be watching for the weekend and early next week. It'll split into two different areas. There'll be one piece that'll move into the Gulf of Mexico, another one moving in as a clipper from the north. Question will be, how will the two interact or shake hands as we head into the latter half of the weekend? I'll have more on that in the outlook coming up here as well in just a few moments. I mentioned the cold, that it's across the lower 48. Well, it's into the Rockies and the parts of Canada, but it's not brutal. The brutal stuff is still into Russia and in Siberia, where right now it is 33 degrees below zero, setting near records in some parts of Europe as of late. Now, the question will be, this blob of cold air, will it stay here all winter long? And if it does, then yes, it will be one for the books as far as warmth goes. But if it does have a chance to get displaced, which there are still some hints that will happen, especially for the middle and latter half of what would be our winter season around here, we then have to see how this is going to play out. But you don't really want this. As I've been stressing, everyone's tracking the really cold air. You don't want this. This is actually cold and brutal and dry. You really want just enough cold air to get involved to have some more fun and games when it comes to snowfall. Otherwise, you'll end up with like December last year, where you just tank below zero, and it's just, it's just not fun at all. So we really don't want any of this. We just want it to get a little bit closer to us, just a little bit. Just come over and wave at us, say hello, come to the front door. You don't have to go all the way in the living room. Just come to the front door and help us out a little bit, and you can leave town. That's the hope. We'll see. Let me show you two different model ideas on how the outlook for the weekend will look. Here's the Euro. There's that piece again moving through the Midwest. We don't know yet if this is going to allow for a steadier rain on Sunday, but it is certainly possible. Even if it does pass on by, it should still shake hands or connect with the low in the Gulf and likely become a much more bigger issue for the coastal states in the Carolinas and perhaps even all the way into New England. They're watching this carefully. This could be quite the beast for the East Coast. And a lot of travel delays with rain and wind. Not a lot of snow, rain and wind more than anything. And then it moves on by and we get quiet, and we'll see what happens as we get a little closer to Christmas. Here's the GFS idea. It has the little piece in the Midwest a little further west on Sunday. So there's not as much of a connection here. But because it is a little further west, it allows for the main low in the Gulf to turn a little faster inland, not over the Gulf Stream. That makes a big difference, because if it goes a little more inland, it would indeed graze, especially along and east of I-65, with a heavier rain setup for Sunday before it heads into the northeast part of the country. Again, not with much snow, mainly rain and wind. So this connecting piece here, this little feature, the clipper that moves into the Midwest, how it arrives here from the Northwest is key on whether or not this low is going to end up developing and go up to the middle of the Carolinas or stay into the Gulf Stream and head up the East Coast. Makes a big difference in our weather and certainly for them as well. So I got a feeling your Sunday forecast, Sunday into Monday, is going to keep changing. I don't see anything on the severe side, to be clear. We're going to be on the colder side, if you will, this entire system, just not cold enough for anything fun on the wintry side, but a cold rain. But it would make a difference of whether or not it's a very light rain or a heavier rain scenario. If you're especially east of 65, stay tuned. This could evolve a little more. Then we get into next week, and that sets the stage for what will likely be a problem getting closer to Christmas, as we will likely start to see the storm track evolve from the Rockies into the Midwest with a decent high pressure off the southeast coast. This is not the look you want to see any time of the year, but certainly as you head into a cold season scenario and near a holiday, as this is going to scream plains snow and likely severe weather that will break out in advance of it. Still early on this, but the timing on it is going to put it awful close to Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So let's hope that's not the case. We saw the last one really change and evolve several times, all the way up to about 12 hours before it actually took place. So this one will likely do the same thing. But at least you know that that potential is at least there, and we'll see how it plays out. The GFS on the polar vortex through the rest of the holidays. Oh, man. Yeah, this is not good. Here's the low 48 here. I don't know if you can see that. The polar vortex, the really cold stuff. Yep, not even close. The confidence in a warmer pattern for the rest of the year is still running high. And I'm saying warmer than normal, not 70s and 80s. Normal is right around roughly 50 degrees. So it'll likely be above that mark. Some cases, several degrees above it. In some cases, just barely above it. So it's not exactly warm, but warmer than you would expect for the beginning of the winter season is what I'm trying to explain there. Tracking the wind here for the polar vortex, still not a lot of agreement on it, relaxing and trying to do any kind of reversal. It wants to hint at it, but the modeling is still struggling with that idea down the road. In fact, when you look at the Euro on the Arctic oscillation, see how it keeps correcting itself. It keeps wanting to try to tank it down to allow for the cold air to move away from Siberia and Russia. And every time it updates, it keeps correcting more and more positive or above the black line. If you're above the black line here, that cold air is not in a hurry to go anywhere anytime soon. And that correction to keep going more positive is the reason why it's fairly locked in on a warm pattern for the next 10 to maybe 14 days. Now, looking ahead, the Euro does try to get it back into neutral, maybe even negative territory mid to late January. Is that true? Will it do that? Or will it keep correcting itself back positive again, like it's been doing so far this season? That's a good question. I don't have that answer, but that's something we'll be watching. At least the signal is still there, even if it is getting further and further away from our actual reach. I will say there's at least a couple of opportunities still showing up in the samples for maybe a snowflake or two down the road. But right now, again, there is no snow in the outlook. It's all about rain and any severe potential, especially as we head into next week into the Christmas holiday. So stay close to the forecast. I'll have much more on this coming up for tomorrow. Be patient, snow lovers, one step at a time.